Repacks, Repackers. ZiggyNo, your favorite hobby asshole, back to talk about it today. I'm gonna try to keep myself calm and to the point here. I know if you listen to me, I often get very heated on this topic. I'm very one-sided on this. I know logically there is a gray area in repacking. That okay. I want to remind you of the concerns I have with kids in the hobby being targeted with repack products, which are a gamble. It is a statistical pack that you have odds on. It is gambling targeting at kids. We'll talk about that. I want to remind you, repacking is not new. We're going to talk about the history of repacking and my challenge to the repacking community, my concerns with repacking, justifying the business. We'll talk about how repacking came to be and how people justify the business, why they're repacking, how breakers fed the repacking craze, and now you have kitchen repackers and even guys who went from kitchen to corporate. That's right, from kitchen repacks to corporate repacks. Um, my biggest concern about repacks is that I believe they are used to move altered, stolen, fake, fraudulent product. And that is something that I think the community ignores. They know it could happen. They all want to distance themselves. But when you listen to what's going on, there's little going on, and we could do more there. And I'll make a recommendation on that. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with, can this last? Can we really see a forward community 5 years from now where the hobby's 10x and there's actual repack products? Like it's not Panini Tops is competing with. It's not Panini and Tops. It's Panini and Repacker. I mean, can you? I'm sorry, it'd be Tops and Repacker. But do you see what I'm saying? Can you see where Tops' main competitor is the repacking companies? Would they then buy them? Is that what the hobby wants? Is that not cannibalized collecting? Is it just anyway? Let's jump back to the top of this. And I will start with repacking is not new. Okay, I say this because it's not new to the sports card hobby. It's not new to hobby mystery boxes, this randomness, this gamble, whatever it is, raffle, a shot at a chance. Maybe you can win. That's been around forever. So is the hobby model that the big concerns, as I mentioned, are people moving stolen, fake, altered goods. Also, the valuation of those goods. The big problem with repacks is often a card goes in repack at one value, valued at $100 on, May 29th, 2024. However, by the time it gets opened 2, 3 months later, it's probably not $100 anymore. It's more likely a $50 card, $30 card. It's more likely going down. Now, the repack will say, well, it could be a higher, man. It could be a $200 card. I know. But if we look at statistically, most of these cards decline over time. And if you get a $100 card for a $100 buy-in, the liquidity on that is never $100, right? You're gonna probably need to be $120, $150 at liquidity equal to $100. So your dollar for dollar value is just not there. And these are things that people lie, hide, and mislead you with on repacks. Now, I'm only saying that because they're going to tell you all the mathematical reasons why they should. I'm going to remind you the hobby is about randomness, about collecting, pack pulling, chasing, whatever you want to call it. Now, there's no right or wrong way to hobby, but I do think there's a wrong way to hustle people, and repacking this concerns me. Just a little history on repacking. I will say I've been involved in them. I was hustled on repack, bought a card that was altered, found out. It took me a long time to try to get rid of the card because it was altered, and I had to sell the card as altered and move on. And I was very upset about that. I'll leave it at that. I challenge anybody out there. You'll see vlogs from anybody in the hobby. People who open product, people buying breaks, people do all sorts of stuff in the hobby. Show me a vlogger who all he does is buy into repacks and how he's making a living, how much he loves repacks. Show me him. I want to see him because I don't think he exists. I believe most repack communities are typically a bunch of sharks where the repacker or the breaker who owns the repack has 10 guys in there and they're buying all the stuff and the three fish are sitting at the table and the repacker and the it's just there's too many chances for marked boxes controlling the inventory. Just keep that in mind. There's too many chances. We concerned about Tops or Panini sending loaded boxes and you trust a repacker, and that's all. I'll leave it at that. um, justify the business. The business is simply justified. I know when Repack started, or at least I saw them start or make where they became strong was in the breaker community. Breakers had a lot of inventory. They couldn't move. It didn't sell their spots they bought into. So they made Repack products. I'm always found it skeptical. I was always suspect to it. I didn't like it. I just didn't participate. I wasn't as vocal about it. I just did not like it because I think it was kind of misleading to people. You're getting cards that people no one wanted. Now, this is before the boom. After the boom, repacking took off because almost every card you could put in a repack had value, or at the time had even some increasing value. Now, let me just say this real quickly as I continue to rant as fast as I can. There were no repacks in 2020, 2021. And I won't say there weren't any, but there weren't many because people didn't risk putting a card in an envelope that really might go up in value when every card was going up in value. You know what I'm saying? Like repacks really started to come in 2022, 2023, 2024. They've gone up. As the hobby's been coming nose diving down, repacks have been almost maybe a soft landing to help the hobby out. I'll even admit that. but recognize there was nobody building a lot of repacks in 2020, 2021. I listened to Nick on Sports Card Lessons talk about how he was a breaker and he felt bad for people buying the breaks, the value where they were getting. And I love this argument. Everybody says this. It's basically the fentanyl explanation. I felt bad for guys who were buying the heroin that was all beat up and didn't have good high in it. So I decided to cut it with fentanyl. That's what I think a repacker is. A repacker who came from breakings based on I saw people in breaks getting their ass kicked. And I thought, hey man, I got a drug addict right here. I can take more money from him and just give him a different high. I'll put some fucking repacked fentanyl in his drugs. You tell me I'm wrong. I honestly believe that. Maybe I'll do a short on that. I truly believe that repackers are the fentanyl dealers in the hobby. They're feeding off of people they know have an addiction to that rush for opening packages, and they're just justifying it by, well, at least I'll get them really high. You know, it makes me sick. I heard Sarah Rips. Boy, I love Sarah Rips' insights and her perspectives on Instagram. And she even talked about repacks. Now, it won't surprise me she comes up with a repack or she backs a repack or she starts selling a repack. And the reason for that is that every repacker loves to attack another repacker. Oh, I can't believe how terrible that one is. Who buys into that? The value is awful. My repack is better. Remember Blez? The repacks community is terrible unless you get into Blez's repacks. I mean, it's the most shady, goddamn snake oil sales tactic I've ever seen in my life. Um, so keep that in mind. Like, watch for more of that. Watch for breaker to breaker exchanges, breaker to breaker support. All that. I'll put it this way: we could clean this up, but we had some self regulation. Maybe you breaker slash repackers had like a certification or a third party audit, or had some code of ethics or something, right, to make this hobby a little better. I even go back to I said the vlogger. Show me somebody who's successfully buying into repacks and why they do it and why it's great or what the chase is. My last comment, or my one of the comments I made about moving bad products, stolen, altered. Why don't you repackers come together and show me that when you buy products, you capture the purchase of it, right? You make sure all your sources of your cards, you've verified who they are and the purchase so that you do have a chain of custody. You could help anybody buying into your repack to verify their product wasn't stolen, altered, fake, whatever it might be. That would be a really easy step to make. Just see, it's kind of like buying organic foods, right? You could be like a repacker who buys verified merchandise instead of could be shady ass merchandise from some guy at a table who's setting up because he was down at Stromsburg or that Best Western and just had them cards laid out. Could you imagine that? That guy ran in there, laid those cards out for sale. Repacker comes and goes, I'll give you a million. Guy goes, yeah, I'll take a million. Next thing he leaves. I know I'm talking fast. A lot of coffee today. You cannot listen to this shit on 2X. My last comment on this. I mentioned the kids and gambling. I think we're going to lose more and more people. I think what we don't realize here is the reason repacking, I won't say failed, but shrank in the past, kind of like a cancer or a weed, is because it kind of ran out of light or oxygen to live off of. After a while, your audience base, the hobby gets wise to repacks and they go, yeah, repacks, most of them are fixed. Yeah, repacks, don't get in them. I mean, I remember that back in 16, 17. People just don't get in repacks. Those are bad ideas. I mean, even when repacks started in 22, 23, my biggest complaint is no one said they're bad. People just shut up. Like, well, I don't know. And then those people didn't know, Cage Lawyer, and my boy over at Retro Hoops, Omar, you guys come out and endorse, Arena League's repack, and I just, again, it's preying on ignorance in the hobby. Those who've been here a while would say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting involved. I'm not going to endorse repacks. There's so many bad things about repacks. Now, again, I understand everybody's got a justification. I got to put money on the table. I needed a sponsor, Michael. You don't understand what I needed. They gave me a lot of money. Maybe it happened, but for me, I would have said no to the repack. So I do think eventually the hobby will correct itself. I think what the key will be is 2027 when Fanatics finally gets all the licenses. Will they allow the repacking community to exist, or will they put real pressure on it through distribution? And I think could. They honestly could through distribution. I think this is the way to do it. Is if you're buying from me direct at Fanatics, you cannot repack. I would love for them to do that. But I do think, as much as I hate repacks, um, I could see repacks become the new Panini in the future, right? Panini and Leaf. Leaf had a buyback program, right? These third parties who have some foot still in the space, some market, some visibility, could put together repacks. Could easily see that done. Could buy repack companies, right? You already have a process in place or wholesaling method or packaging or whatever it might be. So will it last? Yes. Repacks will be here forever. Will it be the same? No. It's going to change. It's drastically going to change. Maybe there'll be better odds, like I said, better third-party audits, whatever it might be. If it sticks around and grows like that, it's going to need it, or Fanatics will chop it off and it'll kind of shrink like it did pre-COVID. That's my thoughts on it. Love to hear your comments on it. Again, I recognize the repack community. I don't want to sell directly to a repacker. I really don't. I know I probably do and have. I'm not gonna be an idiot about it. I mean, it's money and you're being stupid sometimes, but I just like I don't want my cards being used. Oh, I don't know. Like, comment, subscribe.